Read every book you want in the world. The best thing you ever did to raise capital was to come into Subto and become active in my Zoom chat. You will make more friends here that have money. The average Subto student, write this down, the average Subto student has $60,000 in private capital to give you. How do you learn creative finance? Subto. How do you learn wholesale? Subto. How do you learn multifamily? Subto. How do you learn how to fix and flip? Novation agreements? Subto. How do I learn how to generate leads, work with agents, do the paperwork? Subto. I want my people to be the best in the industry. So we put the best education, the best community together so you guys become the best in the industry. Number three, what's a third one I could do? I could do a lease option. Why don't I love a lease option here? I don't love a lease option because if you are somebody who's brand new, why don't I love a lease option in this situation is because typically with a lease option, I'm going to be able to receive from my buyer. So let's say that, right, same situation. I got to go find a lease option tenant. Okay, so let's say that this person down here is a lease option tenant. This person, my tenant, is not going to be able to cover with their option fee. They're not going to be able to cover my cost to get into the deal. So there you go. When you're brand new, that's a problem. Typically, a tenant's going to give you about $7,500, maybe upwards of $10,000 to purchase the option from you. So you got to go and raise money in that situation, or you got to bring in what Jasper said, which Jasper says, bring in an equity partner. Now, here's where do you find an equity partner? This is one of the greatest parts about being a Subto student. Is anybody in here ever raise capital from Subto students? There's a guy that wrote a book on how to raise private capital. I used to refer people to go watch that book or read that book. And then I was like, no, you guys want to know where to raise money? My live Zooms, not in the Facebook group, right here. The more questions you ask, I'm going to pull you up on the screen. The more questions you ask, people are going to see you in the comments. You are marketing for your future ability to raise capital. Read every book you want in the world. The best thing you ever did to raise capital was to come into Subto and become active in my Zoom chat. You will make more friends here that have money. The average Subto student, write this down, the average Subto student has $60,000 in private capital to give you. How do you learn creative finance? Subto. How do you learn wholesale? Subto. How do you learn multifamily? Subto. How do you learn how to fix and flip? Novation agreements? Subto. How do you do wraps, lease options? Subto. How do I learn how to generate leads, work with agents, do the paperwork? Subto. How do I learn how to negotiate and be a sales negotiator? I don't know. Subto. We have 8 hours of sales support every single day, 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours at night. Is there anything we're not doing? I want my people to be the best in the industry. So we put the best education, the best community together so you guys become the best in the industry. All right, so you can bring in an equity partner. I told you guys where those people come from. Where do those people come from? They come from inside of Subto and from you building your reputation in the side chat and coming into my Zooms and hanging out with me and showing up and being an active participant in the community. And then you see what happens is you raise 180,000. All right. The fifth thing that I could do is I could raise the capital from private money lenders. And then you could do a plethora of exit strategies, right? You could do, I think right now I'm probably a little bit more on sober living for a couple of months. I'm kind of just testing the waters. I don't suggest you guys go down sober living world. What I'm doing is I don't want to run sober living. I used to run them years ago. What I am doing right now is I'm finding sober living companies and I then lease to them at a higher rate. So like I've got a deal right now. My payment, check this out. It sold for $680. My favorite part about this deal is this exact thing. This is kind of cool. Let's do maps and let's do satellite, get rid of this. Okay. So look at this property. Should we do 3D? 3D is way cooler. Check this out. Hey, look what I got. I got 2 houses on the same lot. This is a 3-bed, 2-bath. This is a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, both 2-car garages on the same property. I bought for $680,000, $0 down, 0% interest. I just paid the wholesaler $10,000. So what did I do on the property? I literally just closed on this. What was the date I closed on that? What was the date? Ooh, that was like a couple months ago. Look at this. You guys need to see this stuff. 7/19/2022. All right. So here's why I did sober living on this property. It's 2 properties. My payment to the seller is $3,500 a month. It's really high for you would think it's really high for 2 houses, but it's not. But I have another $1,000 on top of that for taxes, insurance, miscellaneous maintenance, all that kind of stuff. So I'm actually at $4,500 a month. My payment to the seller, even though it's really low and it's no interest, you would think my payment would be really low. The seller's like, I will give you a 0% interest loan, but I want to have $3,500 a month. And I go, no problem. figured it out. I normally would have said, I can't do that. I got to be closer to $2,500 on my payment in order for me to make money. But I looked at the property and I go, there's 2 houses on the same property. What would be amazing is if I gave this to a sober living company and I raised the rents and I said, look, you guys clean up the property, you deal with the thing. And that's what I did. So I would have normally been able to rent that for probably $2,000 a month times 2. Okay. So $4,000 a month. How much am I cash flowing if I rented that out for traditional rental for $4,000? I'd lose $500 plus, maintenance and management and all that kind of crap, right? Maybe I might even lose like $1,000 a month on that deal. That doesn't make sense for me. Even though my payment that I make is going directly to principal, and technically I'm building my wealth every single month. When I pay down my seller and there's no interest to pay, that $3,500 is actually paying down and building my wealth, right? I would not do this deal. Rule number 1 of creative finance is don't buy a negative deal, at least break even. I would break even on a deal like this for a year until I can raise the rents until a year later, maybe 2 years later. I go, oh, this is now a good deal. I'm glad I bought it. It's amazing, right? So what I did is I go, all right, I'm going to turn this into a sober living house. So what I did is I found a guy, his name's Patrick. In about 2 months, I'm going to bring Patrick in here and do a Zoom with you guys. What Patrick does, he rents each one of those units from me for $3,000 a month times 2, because I'm allowing him to do a sober living facility in my house. So I'm at $6,000 a month in income on that property. And my cost is roughly, I'd say my total cost is about $4,500. Cool thing is I have no maintenance, no management, no nothing. I don't have a management company in charge of that. $1,500 a month cash flow plus $3,500 lay down. How much do you traditionally raise rents per year? This is a question for anyone. So I raise my rents every 2 years, probably close to $150 to $200 every 2 years. No zoning for this. You can have a sober living facility anywhere. They cannot limit you to have a sober living facility. Now, a sober living facility, you can only have a maximum amount of 9 people in a property. So he's typically charging $600 times 9. He gets 9 people per property. Multiply that by 6. I think he's at $625. Okay, so he's bringing in $56.25 per month, and he's paying me $3,000. That's pretty good. This is a great deal for Patrick. Even though he's paying $1,000 more per house, you see why this is a really great deal for him. Okay, he told me that so here's how he does the management side of things. So Patrick has a lease with me, and then he gets a manager on each property. It's one of the 9 people. So they live in the property as the manager. So he has 2 people. He has one in one house and one in the other, and he gives them a reduced rent. So he has them still pay $150 instead of $625. And that's their management fee of managing the whole entire property. They cook the food, they do all the things. This is great. So Bob Warburton answers the question for you guys. Sober living residents are a federally protected class. We have Oxford house attorneys that defeat a local government who wanted to limit the amount of people living in the house who are not related. Patrick, I don't want to be Patrick. Okay, I used to be Patrick. You throw spaghetti at the wall. It's perfectly fine to go out and make mistakes. I made a mistake. I spent 2 years running sober living and assisted living and behavioral health homes. And I don't think of it as a mistake. I don't do that anymore. But I learned so much in the process, made money along the way, paid some bills, became super educated. Then I realized I don't want to do this as a business. I'll just rent it out to somebody and let them make money. Because couldn't I just make more money just being Patrick? I could make an extra $1,500 per house. But for me, no, I'm going to go buy more houses. Patrick is too busy managing this stuff to go out and buy more houses. So he's got to rent from a guy like me. Where I want to invest my time and energy is super, super, super important. Okay. So you guys can see that this is a great deal, right?